Welcome again. Welcome to the Global Sports Injury Conclave. So we have done now 10 webinars in the past. This is the 11th one, and we talk about how to make gym more effective with regards to sports persons. We know the condition of lockdown. People have been facing issues with the fitness, issues with their practices. They're not in sync with the systems. So we have got some extremely great experts of the field who have always supported us in this time with the webinars, and which actually looks out to be very useful for all the budding sportsmen. Let me welcome Ramji Srinivasan, strength and conditioning coach, one of the champions of the country. Welcome, Ramji sir.
Thank you so much to have me, Nishant. Thank you. Hi all. Good day.
We'll also welcome Dr. Sumant Kulchestra. He is the physio, so he has got a extreme interest into sports physio. So he'll be very helpful in current topic as well. Welcome, Dr. Sumant.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you and warm greetings to everyone.
Yeah. Please welcome. We have got Dr. Onkar Bilgi. Dr. Onkar Bilgi is the Ayurveda expert. As always, something differently comes up and he treats it very well. So we are again waiting for some out of the box ideas. Welcome, doctor.
Thank you, and welcome all. Thank you.
Yeah, we have got a sports dietitian that is Swati Batwal. She is becoming popular every day passing. So we are still waiting for that signature day to come and help us on this platform. Welcome, Swati.
Thank you, Nishant. It's such a delight to be in front of you. Thank you so much
Thank you.
and I just hope it comes true.
Yeah. No, it will. It is actually going on. And we have got a very surprise entry, and we are very grateful to have Mr. Amog Pandit with us, with his experience of 2 decades of strength and conditioning. We are sure we are going to have a lot of good inputs from him, which can help the budding cricketers as well. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Nishant. Thanks for the invite. Thank you.
Fantastic. So I will just quickly run through the questions now. I will start with Ramji sir only, because this becomes relevant to everyone. And obviously, when the sportsmen are there in the lockdown, we can also give them some idea on the gym usage, which can be really not only effective but very helpful in the coming days. So I would basically understand the difference between a celebrity trainer and a sports trainer, because this is a very vital point. Why is it vital? Because we have seen a lot of gym trainers become sports trainers, and then we miss out something. Now, this question is actually put on to you on a different way. So I would like to hear from you on this.
Okay. Very good question to start off with. You're starting off with a bang, basically. Okay, there's a huge difference as far as the sports conditioning and strength and conditioning and just a celebrity fitness trainer. Okay. First of all, very important thing is the knowing the human mechanics of movement. As far as sport is concerned, one has to have played the sport to some extent, or to achieved in some extent, to know exactly what it entails into training a sportsman. Because very complex issue, there is absolutely no room for error, and you can talk till the cows come home regarding from biomechanics to exercise physiology to kinesiology, etc. End of the day, what matters is how we are able to pinpoint and get onto the program with absolute accuracy, without any room for error. And also very important factor is these sports people are representative of our country, and they are the image of our country, which is very, very critical. Many don't realize that, because they are the direct advertisement to a country. A healthy country makes or a happy country makes a healthy sportsman. Apart from that, very critical stage is knowing the movements, human movements. Because when you involve yourself in sport, you need to understand the basic exercise, the physiology of the person, the movement mechanics of a person, and then progress over a period of time. You cannot be a donkey today and expect to be an Arabian horse tomorrow. So it's not belittling anybody, because everybody has got their own career goals and own core competence. What we are looking at as far as the difference is, we are not looking at 6-pack, 8-pack or a keg. It is very, very critical it is all related to performance enhancement. This in the global level. It is not talking about India level, just lifting the collar up and walking, but it's a global level competence, competing with all the countries around the world, because you'll be, it is a way for you to express yourself through an athlete, how competent you are in a world level, not India level. So idea is to understand that first. Second point is, it's a comprehensive thing, a lot of things. I mean, it's a combination of loads of things as far as sports fitness is concerned. It's not really training. It is lots to do with your nutrition, lots to do with mental conditioning, lots to do with your recovery, lots to do with physiotherapists, and lots to do with the coaches. So it's an entire team which works for the success of for an athlete. Tomorrow somebody I'm training somebody, I cannot claim the full responsibility for it, because I am a part of the cog in the wheel. So I'm just doing my part. If I do it right, then it's okay. As far as celebrity training is concerned, a lot of things I am a bit skeptical on some of the things, because a sports person trains for 6 to 8 hours a day, and he doesn't get even 2 packs. You know?
Yeah.
Somebody movie industry, and also movie industry trains for 2-3 months, get this 6-pack, 8-pack, and flaunt their body with 21-inch biceps, etc. Also, lots to do with, I'm not making a radical statement here, but reality is, lot of supplements go into that. I think Swati will be able to enlighten us on that. Anabolic substances, etc., go into that, which has not been talked about. You know, shortcut to success is there, because their thing is money. Their body is their money. Their body is their asset. For a sports person, that is not so. It's a comprehensive thing of a lot of things. So ideas, there is a huge divide. We are running parallel. A sports trainer and celebrity trainer they like a rails. We'll very rarely we meet. Maybe some of the same exercises will be protocols, and I think maybe worked on by the celebrity trainer or vice versa sports trainer, but we never meet on technical aspect of it. Very rarely I've met a celebrity trainer who can talk about loads of things. When you pull them and scratch the surface, it is going to be a difficult thing. So idea is sports training is much more very technical when you go into the next level. Not only cricket, I'm talking about the multifaceted sport. So it has to be bang on, because there is no room for error. And the two things. One is the performance is related directly proportional to the training, and which is an international, and you have to create the goal. Hit the goal, hit the target at every stage, every level. It's not only once and doing a movie and going out of it, because it is a progression for a long-term goal. You know? So that you need loads and loads of technical aspect to be incorporated in that. So I'm not belittling anybody, but as I am telling you, it's two parallel lines, rail lines. Very rarely we'll meet.
Very nice, sir. Superbly explained, and I totally agree to you that skill set is required along with the training what you plan. Extremely good, sir. I'll go to Dr. Sumant. Sumant, we face a very critical problem in sports arena, wherein there is a lot of lack between the physios and the trainers, and it has been since ages. So now, before I ask a question from you, I would also try to understand how can you bridge this gap as per your experiences. Plus, from the gym perspective, if you are able to just throw some lights on how to approach gym post-COVID, as the lockdown becomes important aspect as per current scenario. Can you please throw some light on this?
Yes. So thank you so much. I think need of the hour is absolutely, especially for the sports person, they are looking forward to go back to their normalcy, like in terms of the way they used to actually devote their time for their sports
Hmm.
activity, for their routines. And unfortunately, there are players who have been trying to maintain their physical fitness regime, even being at home. But one thing is very, very essential. Like as you asked about the role of a trainer and a physical therapist, now since we are approaching towards lockdown to be lifted and many places things are coming back to normalcy, but even before going to gym, first and foremost, as Ramji sir shared about the element of knowing your own body, even about functional movement, because what we need to understand that for any elite player or athlete who is competing for any kind of competition, like everybody is like gazing towards that when will the sport will resume its normalcy. But I think we need to really draw a very important point that world will not be the same. Even if we talk about Bundesliga league, the way they started, the kind of precautions they have taken, or that it's in a closed circuit, ensuring everybody to undergo certain tests. But what is important here, first and foremost, they need to be in very close communication with their trainer with respect to their regime. Then, if they have any kind of red flags areas, when I'm talking about red flags, that if they have certain injury, like in terms of any history of past injury with respect to any soft tissue, they must take their physical therapist into confidence, because it is also important that they need to learn the right technique, because it is immaterial. Like if we talk about, they may be very good, they might be champions, but when they are doing in non-supervision, there has to be a lag. There has to be a because it's a human adaptation that they turn to adapt with their own understanding. And then there comes the role of the coach, role of the trainer, the role of a physical therapist, in order to how through biomechanics, how through correct technique, they can enable themselves to play injury free. That's first thing. Then when we talk about resuming for the gymnasium, yes, I think there is a huge waiting line. People are really, really looking forward that when they can hit the gym floor. I think first and foremost, it is again very essential that gyms are not going to be the way they used to function earlier, because we need to understand that COVID comes through respiratory infection, right? So if I talk about the neck check rule, we need to first ensure, when I'm saying neck check rule, which is applicable at this particular moment, that we need to ensure that whether they have any kind of cough, sneezing, or even a temperature, like if you see even in the hospitals or at the public places, randomly the temperatures being checked, and these just as in maybe we can see as a prima facie that people trying to rule out. But when it comes to gym, it will be again a high contact place, with equipment. So like if I talk about US has been able to devise, the gymnasium equipment which are made up of copper, which is again, prerogative. Like when I talk about that, how one can actually avoid any kind of viral, contamination with respect to iron rods, with the copper equipment. So it is essential. All kind of gymnasium activity will be done under complete care. But from the sports person's perspective, they have to ensure that how they follow a good hygiene practice, like in terms of definitely the sanitization, UV filters, all this will come into the role. But primarily, the two components which we need to understand, any competitive athlete is going to actually undergo a vigorous and strenuous training. And if I'm talking about vigorous and strenuous training, this is going to compromise their immune system. So by thumb rule, if I talk about what kind of activity they can start with, so even if I go back to evidence, then immune response, like immune system response, has to be considered. So moderate physical activity has to be initiated rather going through a strenuous kind of activity. So that's the prime most thing which we need to ensure while we are hitting to the gym. So with consultation to your trainer, with your physical therapist, one must try to resume the gym. Though gymnasiums are also setting up certain policies, but what I would recommend that, we need to ensure that our regime has to be based and customized, based upon the scientific evidence.
Great, Dr. Sumant, very elaborative. So this is going to be very useful as well.
Thank you.
I'll come to Amog sir. So basically, you have been you have got such a great experience. So we'd like to put up a question on multilateral training. So and how important is this?
First, basically, I would like the viewers to understand what multilateral training is. It basically starts at a very young age, from your age of 8 up to the age of 14, 15, which doesn't actually happen in this country, because specialization of a sport in this country starts at a very young age. So every parent wants their son to be Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli right from the age of 8. Whereas if you go to countries like Australia, countries like South Africa, US, there are children and parents who are participating in multiple sports. So what that does is it improves their movement efficiency because they are playing various sports. As an example, if I can give you, in cricket, the change of direction is not as same as how it is going to be with a football player and a hockey player, right? And there is no opponent that comes in between you and the ball. So you have to run in a linear path. Whereas in football, you need to change directions based on the opponent. So that puts a different challenge on your joints. So that's why if you would have heard that while playing or while warming up with a football game, there have been a lot of people who have been injured. We have had cases with Mumbai Cricket Association where we had 3 players who got injured because of ACL. They have had issues even in Indian cricket as well. So that is because of just specializing in one sport and not playing various other sports. So multilateral training, if there are parents watching, multilateral training is something where you should be introducing your child to different sports at a very young age, whereby the movement quality of that individual, of that young individual, is improved, and it improves, and it definitely will carry forward. There is going to be a carryover effect into the sport, into a chosen sport, which is going to choose later on down the line.
Very good, sir. Very informative, actually, because these things what you have spoken are going to be very, very informative for the budding cricketers and sportsmen, because it has got the value of how to start things and how to carry on stuff. I'll go to Dr. Onkar Bilgi. Dr. Onkar, I would like to know, what does Ayurveda tell about workouts and its importance on sports persons, please?
Yeah, so thank you. So basically, I understand one part. Ages back, we didn't have gyms, right? So the main purpose of staying fit was embedded in the lifestyle itself. So it was not something that one had to do purposefully. It was just, I think, working out earlier was not something which was uh, uh, just done for the sake of it, but it was done with a purpose of survival. It was something which was the routine embedded in our lives for betterment in the work, or as a part of a very basic survival instinct. So and the time when it was done and the purpose with it was done, everything was linked to your body, mind and soul, where Dr. Sumant also talked about immunity response. There's a direct linkage in Ayurveda which talks about doing half the efforts, like in terms of strength and endurance, to maintain that immunity response. So whatever is your max effort, you can go half of that's a reference which comes across in the ancient texts. So that is a direct correlation and we can say that if one does half the strength or half the endurance, we can maintain a good immunity response. Anything more might hamper the immunity response in present case. And also workouts were not in terms of, as Ramji sir said, about appearance. You have to understand one part is immunity was given a very high uh, 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 weightage then, because you see so many warriors back then who had so much strength to fight from sunrise, take no nutrition break, and they used to fight with swords which were 8 kgs, 12 kgs of weight, and in a brutal life where your life and death matters. That time your six packs were not the not something which you, if you see a warrior, he had a good amount of fats around his belly. His arms were strong but had fats around it, which gave them sustenance and also immunity. And also understand one part is when you take a slash of sword on your stomach or on your chest, it's if you have a pad, it'll take the first slash and you can come tomorrow and fight again. If you are an 8-pack warrior, a slash will just get rid of their abdominal muscles, and you may not be able to walk also. So there are aspects one has to understand per se, what is portrayed on the film or on the paparazzi versus what is reality. Reality, as Ramji sir also said, it's more about achieving your goals in the right way. Ayurveda believes in the circadian rhythm of the day, of the year. It knows when in the day one has to work out. It knows when in the year we'll have maximum strength. We can't have a same strength across. It's like your periodization of your workouts. So these small things come into matter when Ayurveda is in picture. And of course, immunity again is important, but the time when you work out, like you can't work out at 10 p.m. You can't work out to sleep, which is happening in terms of the gym to general person. So one has to have a very holistic view in when one has to work out, and in today's time, whether you want to go to gym or take the help of someone like Amog or Ramji and do a Zoom session which is more at your home and still you are achieving your goals, that is important.
Correct. Superb, sir.
Yeah.
Very nice, sir. I'll come to Swati. Swati, I'll put a very comparative question. Now in lockdown, everyone is trying to do whatever best they can. So, what is the diet do you recommend with current period of lockdown compared to a regular gym goer on a normal day? You're mute. You have to unmute, Swati.
Sorry.
Better.
Thanks
Go
for
on.
that question. That's a very common thing what everyone has been questioning and answering me, questioning me about this. But before I answer your question, I would like to agree with Ramji sir, because what he has mentioned about sports nutrition and athletes and all that, it's so true. Because see, it's very important for people to know that if they're working out, what is the aim for them? Like, are they doing it for aesthetic reasons? Are they doing it for bodybuilding? Are they doing it for weight loss? Are they doing it for relaxation? So based on what their goals are, you set your nutrients accordingly. And I would like to tell everybody that, it's not the time when you're actually going to challenge yourself a little bit more, like, all these social media challenges are going on. You don't have to do that. It's okay if you're not able to take some challenges. The peace of your mind is really, really more important. So even if you do some yoga and pranayam, and if you have that sanity, that's really, really important. Now, there are a lot of gym trainers, I think, because of them, there are a lot of dietitians, they're not being recognized, and especially sports dietitian. And sports dietitians like me, I'm not a celebrity dietitian, but I call myself a sports dietitian because, it's all about performance and how well you do. It's not about aesthetically what you want to give for nutrition. But to tell people in COVID, if they are at home, do not stress whatsoever is going on. Manage your food with what is available to you. Make sure you build your immunity, because that is the main nutrition concern right now, because the cases for COVID-19 are rising high, and if you're not able to look after your immunity, it's not going to work. And exercise is one of the ways to build your immunity. Pranayam is also there. So you can look at nutrients which helps in building immunity, like vitamin C and coriander and all of those things which we have talked about in previous webinar. But you can do an intermittent fasting where you don't eat anything from your last meal for 14 hours. But these are the things for those people who have not been exercising too much or not been training. So there's a difference between sports diet, athlete's diet, and a person who goes to the gym. So this is for somebody who's going to the gym. So you can, if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to work out from home, I would call you as like a person who goes to the gym basically. So you can do an intermittent fasting from your last meal. You can control your calorie intake because you maybe not be exercising that much because you are mostly indoors. And what else? Just wanted to say that please do not go on to the supplements which are there in the market, because they are just waste of money. They are trash. They're full of anabolic ingredients, which you don't need it right now. They will also decrease your metabolic rate because they've got so much of preservatives and added nutrients in it, which you actually, it's not even nutrients. They've got added chemicals in it, which is actually not good for you. So eat healthy, eat fresh, do intermittent fasting, and make sure your immunity is really, really strong, and see where you're getting your information from. A sports dietitian, like Ramji sir said, it's the difference between an athlete. Why athletes don't have a six-pack ab, whereas a person who goes to the gym has got six-pack, and it's more of an aesthetic thing. Why they want, girls, they want a size 0 body and things like that. So don't get carried away by all of those things. It takes you don't have to compromise your nutrient, and you don't need to have those supplement powders. So stay at home, eat fresh, eat healthy, eat nutrient balanced meal, and know your goals. Why are you doing that particular exercise? Do some pranayam, do some meditation, because this exercise is more important. That sanity is more important right now than actually doing any physical workout and just going onto any crash diet.
Superb. Yeah, thanks, Swati. Yeah, Ramji sir, please come in.
Oh, can I talk?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. Super. I fully endorse, what Swati is telling regarding the diet for sports person. Is absolutely, because when I was in AIS in 98 and 2000, when I had my Australian Institute of Sports in AIS, I had my internship there. I met a nutritionist, and they were preparing for City Olympics. At that point of time, and athletes were training under closed doors. When we asked about supplements and other things at that point, this was in 98 when they were training for 2000 Olympics. They were very clear on supplements. No supplements, and everything is calibrated to the spoon level. For example, you take a teaspoon spoon of your corn or something, whatever, avocado or something, it is all calibrated. Everything is calibrated to the T. And we are 50 years behind now.
Yeah.
That is reality. That is reality.
Yeah. Ramji sir, because I graduated from AES, and I was there for a couple of years, and that's where I've got my sports qualifications from.
Yeah.
Any nutrient supplements. So just a long story short, all these supplement powders which we get, most of them are bought over the internet. So there is ASADA and there is WADA as well. So World Anti-Doping is WADA. So ASADA is the Australian Anti-Doping. So all the supplements, although we knew it had been, they were allowed on WADA, it was, everything was mentioned there. In AES, nothing is given to any athlete or any sportsman without being tested within the facility.
Absolutely.
And we train the athletes that please do not even take any supplement which is left in your room, or if you go somewhere,
Exactly.
somebody else mixes something in your bottle or water or whatever. You have to be very, very careful in with whose consent you're having all of those things. So I think I totally agree with you, Ramji sir, because it's a very important thing, and which people should.
Yeah, spot on. Because the other thing what I saw there and learned is some of the research products. I'm coming to that, and maybe I'll just shoot off now, just for a couple of minutes. Research products, whatever research they are doing, what we get is after 5 years, because they spend millions of dollars doing research, and we think we have the latest research. None of the research has been released. Minimum of 5 years. You see the pattern. They'll release the research material after Olympics, after 4 years or 5 years. You see the trend, how it's going. And we get the latest research on sports science or biomechanics or injury prevention or strength and conditioning, other things. All those things are done minimum of 5 years. Because I know a couple of sports scientists who are still working there. in AIS and with American Olympic Association. They don't release things as early as minimum of 5 years, before 5 years time. So we have to be very mindful of the fact what we choose and what we get into.
And
Okay, that is very
Super.
important. Second thing is also,
sorry,
Sorry.
so sorry. And also to the audience, adding to that, Ramji sir, because we are not allowed as a sports dietitian to even endorse any product until
absolutely.
we know what's in there. So people who are actually buying all these products and who are recommended by their personal trainer or gym trainers, you cannot have that product until unless you know what's in that what's the ingredient.
Absolutely, absolutely. They cannot endorse any new sports nutritionists cannot endorse any product. They'll be thrown out. Their license would be cancelled. In India, anything is possible. That's a problem here. Wild West. That's very annoying. That's a fact. I like to emphasize on this. There is no system in place here, especially our strength and conditioning. Whoever takes a dumbbell is an expert.
Agreed. I think doping is one of the area which is kind of totally ignored, and neither the sports person being ever acquainted. I would request maybe Nishant sir can bring a webinar specifically for sports persons to be aware about doping.
Yeah. Because luckily, when you talk Dr. Sumant, we'll just tell you that Mr. Sunil Shetty is also part of GSIC. Yes. And he's the brand ambassador for NADA.
He's the brand ambassador for NADA, yes.
So obviously, one day when we have a right kind of sportsman on the webinar, we'll do that. So next question, let me come back to the track.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'll just come back to the track again then. It was some wonderful piece of information shared between Ramji sir and Swati. Fantastic. So I'll come to this question goes to both Dr. Sumant and Amog sir as well. So basically, I want to talk about the anaerobic exercises. So as per physio, Dr. Sumant, how do you define it and how helpful can it be to the sports persons, please?
I think first and foremost, as I mentioned in the beginning about the element of moderate physical activity and high intensive activity. Like if we talk about just an aerobic activity, which can be done when they are doing at their respective home, even in the form of walking, because today there is a lot of confusion, or I should say a lot of myth when it comes to aerobic activity or anaerobic activity, because I think the prime thing, as like in the beginning also we were talking about the element when we are talking about aerobic activity, it's like people know, okay, I'm doing cardio, I've done a set of treadmill or maybe a set of cycling and I'm good to go. But we need to understand when we're talking about aerobic, it is absolutely when we are involving with the oxygen, right? Like in the presence of oxygen. And when we are talking about anaerobic activity, it is like it's all what one need to understand when we are talking about anaerobic part. It is something in the process where our cells do not get oxygen in terms of they are able to liberate the energy to fuel our function. So like for the players, if we talk about in their regime, it is very essential because any kind of strenuous activity, they are going to stop their breath, right? And when they stop their breath, they are not passing on any kind of oxygen supply to their vital organs, and it can actually affect their entire biochemical composition in the body. So whenever we are talking about that a player should pick up any form of aerobic or say anaerobic activity, first and foremost we must train them for deep breathing. We must ensure them that though it may sound very, very simple, people think, okay, breathing, okay, I know about it. But if I give you a simple example that whenever somebody is into strenuous activity, they forget to count or they forget to breathe in and breathe out. So simply involving, if they are doing counting while they are doing the activity with respect to strenuous activity and they're listening to their own voice, they're able to balance, because that is how they can prevent even the injury. Because posture and breathing, I think these are the two simple precautions. If a sports person is taking care while their regime, they can prevent any kind of injury. Because what has been found during any of the physical activity, it leads to significant consequences when you hold your breath. So each breath you are taking during the exercise, it actually helps us provide vital oxygen in terms to order to perform that task.
Yeah.
And when we reduce it, we are not able to do it. So it is essential that we must, there comes, as in the beginning you asked, there comes the role of instructor or a trainer or a coach to, you know, find out and spot the mistake and tell them that, you know, this is where you're going wrong. If you see most of the people in gym, they get totally, you know, their entire blood supply comes to their face. I think that is the time we need to check that are they getting dizzy? Are they like, you know, their face turning red? It's probably they are holding their breath for too long. So in anaerobic activity, we must ensure the player is trained enough, you know, with respect to breathing exercises first. So I think the deep breathing exercise is a simple tool for them to overcome this.
Superb. Amok sir, similar question, anaerobic exercise only, and you know, with respect to weightlifting, jumping, sprint, high intensity interval training, can you throw some lights which can benefit the sportsmen and the budding cricketers?
Most of the, if you see that most of the sports are anaerobic in nature, and you would see sports like football, sports like cricket, hockey, most of them, American football, you take any sport other than the triathletes, the marathons, we are not talking about that. We are just talking about the field sport. So most of them, any particular play lasts for nothing more than 15 seconds or 10 seconds for that matter.
Yeah.
So 10 to 15 seconds, any activity that lasts for 10 to 15 seconds, all out effort is what we call it as an anaerobic activity. But if you have seen for donkey's years, the coaches have been asking cricketers to do laps after laps after laps. So now, once you have done that, your body is getting adapted to that particular speed, that particular velocity. And if you're not training at a higher velocity, that is sprint training or changes of directions, your joints, your muscles are not getting the load that they experience when you're doing those kind of high velocity exercises. And all of a sudden, once you get into a match scenario, and there you have to chase a ball, or you have to immediately stop. If say the batsman at the non-striker's end calls a no, and you have already decided to take a run, he says a no, you have to break and you have to immediately turn and get back to your crease. That stopping and changing of directions puts a lot of stress on your joints and on your muscles. And if you have never trained at a higher velocity, the likelihood of injuries automatically go up. So people need to train at that higher velocities, especially all the field sports. They need to train at a higher velocity, and not just linear running, but also multi-directional, which is changes of direction.
Yeah, fantastic, sir. Superb, very informative actually. I want to understand a lot of sportsmen. I'm not talking about the top guys who are playing for the country, but a lot of budding sportsmen. The problem is they have untimely meals. Point one, not meals at the right time. Plus, a lot of people try crash dieting. So, what is your take on this? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Nishant. See, number one thing is, if you want to be an athlete, then athletes don't. Athletes eat and train. They don't diet and exercise. So if you are trained to be an athlete, there is no dieting. There is only eating healthy, and it's about eating in the right way and performing better and just training. It's not about doing this exercise and that exercise. I'm sure a lot of we've got sports physicians, and then we've got like sports people from here, and they will agree that it's like, you need like a set of exercise pattern throughout when you're actually training. It's not like when you're going to the gym and you're doing certain exercises and you're out within an hour or two. It's like you got to keep training. You can burn like, you can exercise for 5 hours, you can exercise for 6 hours in a day. It's same as like with the food as well. You can't just take it so easy, so lightly. You will hear like so many diets out there: high fat, low fat, high fiber, low fiber. It doesn't work like that. You've got to make sure you're training and you are eating appropriately. So in the previous webinars, I have talked about the importance of hydration. Hydration is the key, because that's how you get your sodium and you get the electrolytes. If somebody's on the road, if somebody's exercising for that long, for 3 hours, 4 hours, you are sweating, you're losing a lot of electrolytes. So that electrolyte imbalance is a big thing. So you have to make sure that pre-training, post-training, you are eating and you are hydrating yourself in a well-balanced way. You don't go hours without eating and drinking, and then you end up having a big meal. Now, most of the people, the biggest question they ask me is, protein, for example. So people, they say, oh, we want to have this protein, how we have that muscle building and weight, whatever reasons they want to have proteins for. Now, there are certain amount of protein you need to have per day, which is like 1 gram to 1.5 gram maximum you have in a day. We give 1.8 gram per kilogram.
So,
Yeah.
what, for the faster recovery, as per Ayurveda, post and, pre-gym sessions, what do you suggest as per your experiences?
So I was just taking the point what Amog made earlier, where
Yeah.
a kid or a person involving into multiple sport is very important, because it helps you to establish different like new neural networks, which is very important for a high immunity. And it's also very important for you to have a quick response to a particular stimuli what you get. It might be a ball coming to you, or you just throwing a ball, or anything happening in the field of cricket or any in other sport. So having a multi-dimensional approach to the sport what you are playing will always impact your immunity directly. Second aspect what one has to realize is how I gave the example of how Jonty used to play hockey, and he used to play tennis before even entering into cricket, and how that experience helped him to be a better fielder. So that's an again example of playing multiple sports, which sadly in India we are just wanting one-dimensional approach of making our kids the superstar in that particular sport, and then missing the entire fun of it. The other aspect, if you come to core two of Ayurveda, is before that. Let me talk about the breathing part. Breathing part is very important, which will help you to not only circulate your lymph system for better immune response, but also to get rid of something like an adrenaline fatigue. You get these days so much fatigue sitting at home that you don't want to do even your normal daily work. So just breathing for 5 to 20 minutes a day in a particular pattern, it could be your yoga, it can be your some conscious mindful breathing. It's going to directly help you to focus right, and also have a great immunity. If you can do it before your workouts at gym, and after also you can do a cooling down session after your relaxation or stretchings. The other aspect is specifically what I want to talk about through Ayurveda is for the different massages. I remember talking about how a pre and post massage directly help to stimulate the fascias of the muscles, and actually help you to get more focused approach towards your sport, and it also helps in faster recovery. The other main important thing through Ayurveda is gut health. You might be having best of proteins, you might be having best of your carbs, complex carbs, but if your gut health is not correct, friends, you're not going to develop that kind of absorption of the nutrition into the guts or into the body. So Ayurveda can help you in improve your guts, and healthier guts is healthier mind, a relaxed mind, and higher immunity. So that's what Ayurveda can bring in. Thank you.
Fantastic. I will come to Ramji sir again. Ramji sir, first is your center in Chennai has got some beautiful, training facilities there, which you use with a lot of people, including the sportsmen and other people as well. So I would just like to understand the basic standards of gym has also changed from past years. So can you just throw some light on that?
Oh yeah, it's a massive transformation from last 10 years or before. Yeah, when we started in way back in 96, 97, there were not many gyms, or even in MR Pace Foundation, there was a very prehistoric looking equipments coming back now. That time it was state of the art. Now it is just an art piece. Okay, we used to make fun of it, but things changed over a period of time. A lot of fantastic centers have opened up. Now it's compared to any centers in the world, either it's cutting across multi-city, whether it's Mumbai or Chennai or Delhi or smaller towns also, some fantastic centers are coming. That's for general fitness. For sports fitness also, a lot of things have changed. The type of strength training equipment, the type of accessories, what you can have, things have changed. And what you can access through online and buy through online, that has changed because it has become much more open for people to purchase equipments, whatever specific to their needs, it is available now. That cannot be a big complaint that they don't have access to the gym now to do their strength and conditioning work. Second thing
Right.
is, as far as sports training fitness is concerned, the equipments what is required are slightly different when you're looking at the cutting edge difference. You cannot fight a war with sticks and stones anymore. You know,
Yeah.
you need that
Totally.
cutting edge technique to differentiate between the good athlete to an excellent athlete. Those are the equipments which are really expensive, and we have some of the equipment which we got it 5 years back, pretty ahead of time though, which gives a very different analytical and data collection as far as what we are talking about previously when we spoke about data collection, getting inference out of it. We are able to do that for multi-sport. So that is very critical. And the choice of equipments, what one purchases or buys in the have in their center is very critical for sports, which gives you that difference, that small difference, 2 to 5% difference that makes the difference between Olympic gold or just glip talk. B2 rank cases.
Correct.
That is
Yes.
the difference.
Yes.
That 2 to 5% is only we are looking at. We are not
Yeah.
looking at a generalized thing. So things are different in that level. You know, so that we have been interacting with quite a number of top level F1 racers and from other countries also. Not only India, because India racing is still in a neonatal stage, but other sport like somebody like Sharath Kamal or Satyan working with us, table tennis, we interact with people in Germany, the strength and conditioning coaches, the sports science team in Germany, so that we are in level with them, to tell you frankly, not to boast our own thing, but blow our own trumpet. We are in level with them because they have been able to see the difference what these guys are able to progress. Even the Chinese or Swedish guys, they were able to see a massive difference in these two athletes. Couple of others also like Bhavani Devi in fencing. So there are equipments which has to be there for high performance. There is no two ways about it. Those equipments need to be identified and used. How to get the maximum out of equipment is again an art.
Yes.
It is a hardware. How do you get the maximum out of the equipment is between your ears. So, the better you get things out of it, more successful you are. And avoidance of injury in India. I think Sumant and Onkar will agree and Amog will agree. If you are injured in India, as I told you earlier when we are talking about batting and bowling and other things, you have to have good doctors. Of course, we have competent people, no two ways about it. But you have to have a divine intervention also.
Timely intervention and the right diagnosis is the key, which lacks, unfortunately.
And one thing I like to say is there is a good level of qualified SNC guys coming in now, youngsters coming in now, which is very encouraging. Fantastic guys. I know quite a few people, those who have finished masters in exercise science and exercise physiology and sports science, coming back to India, want to serve our Indian, not cricket, not only cricket. Cricket is okay, but other sport. They are into the system now. Fantastic to note that. Recently, we had a thing in Chennai. I met more than 40-50 kids, guys. Those who are in 20s and 30s. Amazing level of knowledge, amazing level of stepping it up. Fantastic. That's a good thing to do. And they know what to do. You know, as far as gyms are concerned, they are up with the trend now.
Correct, sir. Fantastic, sir. So now we'll just, have one question, 2 lines of answer from everyone. But before that, let me come to Swati, because Swati was supposed to, she was saying something and then we lost her. Can you just come and repeat again, please?
Back.
Return of the Jedi. Mute.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, everybody, for all this. It's just one of the days when there is so much of technical snack going on. So, what I want to tell everybody is, see, if you are training to be an athlete, athletes, they train and they eat well, they don't diet and exercise. So, please don't go on to all these crash diets or whatever you hear, like high fiber, low fat, and this and that. And these things are not going to work for you because they are going to interfere with your performance, and especially the young ones who are growing. You need calcium, you need vitamin D, you need all these nutrients which are very, very important for you in your growing years as well. So please make sure you follow a proper, well-balanced diet. Now, coming to the most important thing is, which is like, the protein, and everyone wants to have protein and they want to know about it. Maximum we give is 1.5 grams of per kilogram of body weight of protein to an individual, an athlete. So you can't have like 2 grams of protein per day or 3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. If your weight is 70 kilos, we don't expect you to have 210 grams of protein in a day, because everything is going to be excreted. And think about the pressure you're putting on your kidneys. So make sure you have the right quantity of protein you need, but you evenly distribute it throughout the day. That's the key of actually retaining that muscle mass, because every exercise you do, it takes about 48 hours for muscle to be built, in a simple way, if I say. So make sure you have that protein distributed evenly throughout the day, have good sources of protein, natural sources of protein, and do not have any supplements, and eat like an athlete. Don't eat, like a crash. Don't eat like somebody who is just exercising for the sake of exercising and going to the gym. So that's
Yeah.
basically what I wanted to cover.
Fantastic. Good. Good. You completed the right thing and right knowledge to the budding cricketers. Now we'll ask the one question to everyone, and then we'll try to have an idea from you, a suggestion which should be given to the budding cricketers. I'll start with Ramji sir. How gym should be used to improve fitness at from lockdown to the normal circumstance? What should be your advice, sir?
Very important is, I always believe in training transfer. Just strength for strength's sake is of no use. You can lift buckets and you can lift gas cylinders and keep it in the house. But strength, whatever need to be, has to be transferred. Whatever type of strength you are doing, there are various, as I told you earlier, there are various types of strength protocols involved. It has to transfer onto the field. If it is not transferring, you look good, you are a fit athlete, stops there. Because it has to transfer onto the skill. Otherwise, fitness for itself is a waste of time. So, idea is to get the correct support staff in getting the things organized, so that there is ample transfer happening.
Superb. Amok sir, the same question to you, sir. How gym should be used to improve fitness for budding cricketers?
During normalcy, yeah, you can definitely, it becomes a part, because we know that if someone has to run fast, he has to impart a good amount of force on the ground. Only then he'll be able to run fast. So it's not just, as Ramji said, that strength is an integral part, and it has to be functional strength, where there has to be transfer into a sport. But at the same time, there has to be mobility. You will see nowadays a lot of young boys are sitting in front of the computer, sitting in front of the mobile, sitting in front of the television, and sitting inside the dressing room as well for long hours, which creates tightness inside them. And once that tightness comes in, you have the range of motion in your hip is restricted. Once that is restricted, automatically what we talk about, the stride length, is affected. And if, say, for instance, during maximum sprinting, your thigh basically ideally should come around 80 degrees to your hip joint. If it comes about 80 degrees, only then it's going to work like a hammer on a nail. If it doesn't come higher, the foot is not going to strike as hard onto the ground, which is not going to impart the force, and hence you'll not be able to accelerate yourself forward. So everything boils down to how much strength, how much force you can impart. So there has to be some amount of gym training. But having said that, on-field training, which is on-field conditioning, is of critical importance as well, because we see nowadays a lot of cricketers that I know of are spending a lot of time in the gym and not paying so much of focus on ground-based activities. And once they come onto the ground to do the activities, now that is where the whole problem will start to mushroom. So
Very good.
there has to be a nice balance in between the gym and the ground-based activities to have a wholesome athlete and an efficient athlete.
Oh, super. Very nice. Dr. Sumant, the same question as a physio. What's your advice to the budding sportsman?
So I think first and foremost, we have been talking about COVID times. So I would recommend they must understand that the games for, any game, or, today if we talk about, the rules have changed. Like, one, they have to take care that they do not come into any kind of immunosuppressing exercise, as I already mentioned, that they should not focus more on the high intensity exercise. That's one. Second, the golden thumb rule is, because see, if you talk about any athlete, if we are trying to make them, clear with respect to gymming, they need to understand before even their, figure or their muscles target or anything to do with the gym, the first element of health should come into picture, where they are able to first understand what are their goals. Like, to remain healthy is a goal, rather making a goal of, that I have 15-inch buys and, 6-pack abs. But primarily to remain healthy, I think the first and foremost simple tool which they can follow is endurance building. Because if they are able to do endurance training, they would be able to train themselves for any of the competition, because it is an ability where it prepares an athlete to withstand stress and strain to their body. And when we are talking about getting back into gymming, we definitely need to ensure about the hygiene practice, about the clothing, because I think there's another element when so much of buzz going around on social media, people posting their challenge, as Swati ma'am already shared, and they're trying to inspire people. I see people also putting up a lot of makeup while they go to gym, and they forget when they put makeup, it is also they're ingesting that makeup, because when they're sweating, that basically going into their body. So it is something which we need to now define wellness as a whole, not just for a social media post. Because people, I really find very funny when people really pose themselves that they got 6-packs abs or they have a wonderful shaped body, but unfortunately they lack the basic essence of health. So even if you pick up a data, we find young people getting succumb to cardiovascular disorders. Why? Because probably they never pay heed to warm up. They never pay heed to what is that their body is capable of doing it. So it is very essential that they must devise a proper plan, and then based upon the consistency, because when we're talking about any of the exercise or routine, it is very important. So like if we are talking about specifically for athlete, I think 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise is enough in a week's time. But there are people who also kind of tend to overdo. So we need to also ensure that we don't do any kind of overdo while we are in gym.
Fantastic.
And then definitely following cool down and recovery process.
Correct. Right. Dr. Omkar, again the same question. As per Ayurveda, what the budding cricketer should do to make it more effective in the gym?
Yeah, so basically I'll put up the same thing, like to wrap it right, with have a routine. Don't miss your routine, accept the present scenario, because if there is a lockdown, accept it in a right way. It'll bring certain limitations to you, but it will give certain things to look into, like within yourself, where some parts you have not explored in terms of gaining a new skill, or just doing that little bit of isometric exercise which you never did, or something which just to be aware of your own self, because so much sports these days consume so much about a young individual and also a professional athlete. So basically to have a routine, accept it, accept the scenario, and try to be at the because everyone are, as we said, everyone are in the same ship, but how can you be at the better or the best from that starting point during the lockdown, and ultimately identify the purpose. Why are you want to do this thing has happened to humankind. We have to still hang around there, stay positive, and how we can actually stay aligned with our purpose is important. So again, purpose, acceptance, and routine, all three are together. And per se, what to do is I'll suggest everyone to do a breathing exercise. I understand strength is important, but try to have a breathing regime along with it throughout the day. And then if you can, one thing we tend to miss is a very simple aspect is a massage. You can do a self massage if you want, or if the moment the lockdown opens and in the context, if things are right, you can have the right therapist doing it in the right environment whenever it is possible. And the other last part is meditation, guys. Try to visualize things. Meditation is going to help you longer times of it's an exercise for the mind. And it'll come good when you in 2 months, 3 months, whenever the game would come good, that stress situation. And the moment you just imagine the meditation part, your heart rate is going to fall down. Otherwise that stress factor is going to just make your heart pump like an engine, and your focus is going to go away. So try to spend your time this time in lockdown in visualization, or I call meditation, for longer times. If you can do for 1 hour, 2 hours with your purpose, like even you breathe in with when a ball is bowled for a batsman, and you breathe out when you hit it for a 4 or a 6 or you defend it. So it can be so specific for each individual in each sports, and that can actually give you more fun even in this times, if you accept the situation in the right way. So
Super, very nice.
Yeah.
Brilliant, sir. Brilliant. Swati, again, your last point on this particular thing. What diet should they follow post lockdown?
I want to tell, So I want to tell everyone that make sure you're not stressing too much about your diet. You need to know, firstly, it's the time for you to decide whether you're actually going to train as an athlete or you're going to be an amateur sports person, and follow your plans accordingly. And, make sure you're having home cooked food. It can be khichdi, it can be millets, it can be upma, it can be all those nutritious home cooked food which is there based on your region. Have more regional foods. And one more thing, that just brings to my attention that if you're a budding cricketer, if you're a budding athlete, don't think that, when you are young, that if they're advertising certain products, it's actually good. Because, people had come to me saying, oh, they drink Pepsi or they drink, Thumbs Up, so it's probably really good for me. So they start drinking it, or so it's just temporary. Those things will not actually help you. So make sure, if you want to be like your idol cricketer, you follow an ideal diet and don't get carried away by all these preservatives and all of these things which are available. Keep your sanity in place, because mental health is equally important. Physical health is, and Dr. Bilgi has talked about it. And of course, your training, and make sure your immunity is really, really strong.
Brilliant, superb. So now for all the budding sportsmen, we know that the gym standards have gone up. We have to take more good stuff, less supplement. We have to be more skill-based workouts than anything else. And obviously, Dr. Onkar stresses a lot on breathing exercise than just doing weights. So thank you, Ramji sir. Thank you for this. Thanks, Amok sir.
Thank you.
Good to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
And Dr. Sumant, very thankful to you as well. Some great insight.
Thank you.
Swati has always been brilliant, as always. Thanks
Absolutely.
again. And Dr. Bilgi, that wild card is always yours in the hockey. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
all for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Be good.
Take care.
Have
Bye.
a lot of liquid
Thank you so
diet.
much.
Enjoy.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Yeah.